Hello YouTube, this is Mahadeva the Thunder Lizard. I am a reptilian overlord, and I have defected to the side of the humans. And I am here once again today to give you very serious information about the dangers that are posed to you by the Illuminati Reptilian Archons, who are controlling the information that come to you. I am wearing my red shirt, meaning danger, danger, pay attention, because your actual soul and your mind are at stake. And I'm going to reveal to you one of the most powerful tools of the reptilian collective to hypnotize you and to control you, to keep you trapped and to take away your power. And one of them is called the Dunning Kruger Effect. So, the Dunning Kruger Effect is what happens when people are uneducated, when you do not do your research about any information that comes to you. And if you do not have any experience or any knowledge based on something, which most of us don't. I don't have experience and knowledge in most of the things that come to me, even though I am a reptilian and I've been around for 100,000 years. By the way, I'm half human. So I infiltrated human spiritual knowledge, and as a result of that, high-level human spiritual knowledge transformed my human side, and now I am working towards my own enlightenment just like the rest of you. But I'm using my knowledge as a 100,000-year-old reptilian human hybrid to share with you the techniques that they use to entrap you, to steal your soul, and to feed off of you. All right? So the Dunning Kruger Effect. When somebody has a high level of confidence about their knowledge but has little to no experience. And then what ends up happening is that as you gain more knowledge and gain more experience, your confidence in your knowledge goes way down until you actually become an expert in that field, in which case, instead of believing you're an expert, you actually downplay what you know and you say, well, I only know a little, here's what I know. So the graph for the Dunning-Kruger effect looks like this. So you have zero, so on the bottom you can look at competence. There is also experience, knowledge, research, fix it with any one of those. And so in the beginning you have no confidence because you've never heard of something. And then all of a sudden, boom, you hear about something. Like what we've been talking about. Flat Earth versus round Earth versus globe. So you've grown up believing in the globe Earth model your whole life, and all of a sudden somebody comes around and says, no, there's this flat Earth. It's revolutionizing things. You're being lied to. And then you get a little bit of knowledge. You watch a few YouTube videos, or maybe you watch a lot of YouTube videos from flat earthers telling you what the flat Earth is, and boom, your confidence goes way up. And you say, data science looks super easy. And you ask yourself questions like, well, if we live on a spinning globe that's spinning at 1,060 miles per hour, why don't I fly off the globe? And you go, oh, that makes sense. Of course, that's ridiculous. We can't live on a globe because we would fly off. So you're at the left side. Data science looks super easy. Then you actually do some more research. Let's say you decide you are going to go to college and become a scientist, and you are going to disprove from within the field of science the whole globe Earth theory. And you start doing experiments. And maybe you get on, you start studying science and astronomy and astrophysics, and then all of a sudden there's more to this than I thought. This is more complex than I realized. And then you get to, now these concepts are starting to make sense that I didn't understand. And then you get to the end and you go, wow, this whole global Earth thing is complicated. It's not so easy to explain in one word sound bites. This is the Dunning Kruger effect. What the reptilians are hoping is that you will stay on the left side of this graph, which is whenever they bring information to you about the military, about economy, about the ecology, global warming, COVID-19, NASA, when any of these people start giving information to the public, they're hoping that you will stay on the left side of the graph, where you will not have much knowledge and experience, but you will have super high confidence in what you believe you know. Because that's when they can take advantage of you. That's when they can control you. So I wanted to look at some comments that somebody had just put on my channel, and I was so excited. The whole reason I put this together because this comment was perfect. It was absolutely perfect for what I wanted to talk about. But as happens all the time, and I wish you guys didn't do this, somebody put up a comment and then took it down. Obviously knew that I would probably look at it and analyze it. So this person was talking, I don't remember about which video it was. It was one of my flat earth, round earth videos. And this person said, when I think about it, I'm trying my best to remember what he said, but the point that he made, I do remember. He said, when I think about it, the round earth, the globe earth doesn't make sense to me because in the winter, when I look up at the sky, I see certain stars. And in the summer, I look up in the sky and I see those same stars. If the world was curved and it moves, as it does, the earth wobbles like that. And so summertime, for instance, summertime right now is in the northern hemisphere according to the globe model because the northern hemisphere is closer to the sun, facing closer to the sun. Whereas right now I'm in the southern hemisphere, so we're tilted away from the sun, so it's colder. The earth, wobbles, and then, again, I'm not a scientist, I can't explain it, but I know that much. So he says if that were the case, then you would see different stars. And then he says, that doesn't make sense to me, therefore I don't believe in the globe earth. And I couldn't believe what I was reading. Because what that shows is the Dunning Kruger Effect in absolute perfection. This person had high confidence in his own ability to try and figure things out based on his interaction with the universe, but based on zero experience in things like mathematics and astrophysics, at least in the theories of them. He doesn't have any idea. But I'm going to teach you how to research right now. I'm going to answer that question for him. That guy made a conclusion. Now, I don't know what else is going on. As you know, we never come to beliefs without having an emotional agenda. So I don't know what else his emotional agendas are to come up with his beliefs. But if he honestly wanted to ask the question, according to globe science, no, you don't have to believe it. You can just say, according to globe science, I want to know how they explain this. According to globe science, why would I see the same stars in the summer and the winter if the earth is moving like that? Why would it look the same? It should look different, right? Well, that's based on a lot of assumptions. The assumption on that is that the stars are very close. And if the stars were close, I would agree with him. Then when the earth shifted, then all of the stars would shift. Somebody else asked this question also, said if the globe is, again, this question doesn't make any sense, but that's their honest question, which is if the globe is spinning, then why doesn't the stars change? Something like that. So I'm going to teach you how to do research. Everybody, when I say something that they don't like or that they don't agree with, or when I challenge their beliefs, they say, you obviously haven't done your research. Do your research. So bear in mind, research means looking at two sides. If you want to research something and you don't know which belief to believe in because you don't have the experience or the knowledge, then what you do is you research both sides to get the answer. Now, I'm not a flat earther, but if I were, and somebody said, how come in the winter and the summer the stars don't change? I would say, well, that's obvious. The earth is stationary and flat, and the sun is moving around in different places. We're not, and the stars are fixed and in the same place, so they're not moving. That's why. Makes perfect sense. It's logical. It's easy to assimilate. It's easy to understand. I'm assuming that's what they would say. Now, you go, okay, now I've researched the flat earth model. It makes sense to me, but now let's compare it with the other side. So I'm going to teach you how to do it. People have been asking me questions about, really simple questions about gravity, really simple questions about why don't the stars move. There's been at least 2 questions asking me, why don't the stars move? I'm not an astrophysicist, I'm not a scientist. So I am going to find out the answers with you. Now, I had to just do, within 5 minutes, I found this out. Real simple, I just went on to Bing and typed in questions. First question was, what is the speed of light? So in case you don't know, the speed of light is 186,000 miles per second. Now, you don't have to be a flat earth or a round earth person to realize that light moves really fast. If I turn on my light, it's during the day now, but if I flipped on my light switch, I wouldn't be able to see with my eye the light coming from the light source down and hitting the table where I'm at. It's so fast, I can't follow it. According to physics, I think light is that nothing can go faster than the speed of light. That would mean that light is the fastest thing there is, right? Well, as it so happens, it travels 186,000 miles per second. Now, I'm not a scientist. I can't comprehend 186,000 miles per second. I can understand miles per hour because I drive a car, and I can understand going 60 miles an hour, that kind of thing. I can understand that. So I took out, I haven't done that. I'm going to do that with you. So the next thing I looked up is how far away the closest galaxy is. So when you look out into the stars at night and you see galaxies out there, you see whatever it is, whatever galaxy it is, the closest one, are you ready? The closest one is 2 million light years away. I can't comprehend that. Now, how far is a light year? You can look that up. A light year is, get ready for this, a light year is 5.88 trillion miles. That means that light, the fastest moving thing in the known universe, travels in 1 year 5.88 trillion miles. So that is 1 light year. 1 light year is 5.88 trillion miles away. So I looked at what the closest galaxy is to us, is 2 million light years. 2 million light years away. So that means our tiny little Earth, in comparison to however far away that we don't, how many miles would that be? 2 million light years? Let's see if I can figure that out. Let's try and figure that out. This is called doing research. You can do this. You don't have to sit there and not know what the hell things mean or what people believe. You can actually look it up. We've got this thing called the internet. It's amazing. You can type it in and with 5 minutes you can figure it out. So those of you who say to me, there are too many variables, I can't figure it out, I don't believe you. I don't believe that you can't figure it out. What I'm not sure is why you're choosing not to figure it out. And again, I'm not even saying at this point that globe earth science is right, but if I wanted to know how globe earth science explains something, whether I choose to believe it or not, I can look it up. So please don't tell me that you don't have the ability to look something up, because you do. It just takes the willingness and the decision to do it. But you'd rather have somebody else tell you what to believe. On either side. If you want to say that globe earthers are too lazy because they just take whatever NASA tells them, great. Find out what it is their theory is behind what they believe, and then at least you'll have an educated decision to decide whether or not you want to choose to believe it. So, to explain why the stars don't move in the summer and the winter when you're looking out at something, it's 2 million light years away. Let's see if we can figure this out. So I'm going to try and figure out how many miles that is. I might not be able to do that. I'm doing it with my little calculator here. Let's see if we get anywhere. So, 186,000 miles per second. Anyway, a light year, I might not be able to figure this out. I might be too stupid to do this. A light year is 5.88 trillion miles. 2 million, okay, so let's just do 5.88 times 2 million. Let's see what happens there. 5.88 times 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 equals 11,760,000. So 2 million. So that would be 11,760,000. See, I got lost. It's too much. This is what I mean. It's too much information. I got lost. I can't figure out what I'm doing. I totally forgot what I was trying to figure out because I'm horrible at this. I'm not a scientist. But I am smart enough to figure out that between here and 2 million light years from here, if I'm looking at it and my angle shifts just a tiny bit like that, that's not going to move. It's going to look like it's in the exact same place. Because compared to where I am, it hasn't moved. Now that guy who says, well, I don't believe in the globe theory because it doesn't make sense to me, because when I look out at the stars don't shift between seasons, all he would have to do is go ask the question, why don't the stars move when the seasons change? He could find out the answer to that. There's another comment here I want to look at here. Let me see here. Here's another one. And this is going to explain something else that I want to talk about. So the Dunning Kruger Effect is basically having a lot of confidence in your beliefs when you have zero competence, zero experience, zero training, zero education. When you have zero education, you go by what makes sense to you, and you have a lot of confidence in that. In other words, how is it that we don't fall off a spinning globe? Well, if you don't know anything about gravity and you don't know anything about, what the science is behind that, then it's not going to make any sense to you. And therefore, you're going to have a lot of confidence when you say, that's ridiculous. You would fall right off. It just shows that you don't know anything about what the science is behind it. Whether you choose to believe it or not, do you understand that? Whether you choose to believe it or not is a whole other subject. So what this guy is saying here in this comment that I want to look at, what was it? This guy's going to make a comment based on his emotional reaction to the people giving a specific philosophy. In this case, he's talking about the electric universe. And here's what he says. Now, the electric universe is a whole other theory that, again, has nothing to do with science. It's another one of those beliefs that is saying everything you've been told is a lie. The universe doesn't operate from gravity, it operates from electromagnetism, and they don't have a whole lot of science behind it, but they like it because, for the same reason people like flat Earth, is because it makes them feel comfortable. And what people say who follow the electric universe is that I like this belief because it connects me to energy, that energy is everything, and it's a spiritual belief. It makes them feel spiritually connected. So the point is that their emotional attachment to the belief is not on whether or not it's true, but on how it makes them feel. And as I've shared with you before in previous videos, people that gravitate towards the flat Earth theory are people who are frightened by the globe science. That frightens them. The globe is a lie built on satanic Freemason Kabbalistic paganism. The foundation for evolution, the Big Bang, the globe is based on alien seeding, paganism, the occult, the New World Order, satanic world control. Where's the other one? Here's my favorite one. God's flat Earth. And the globe is based on the fact that you are evolved from primordial soup, that you are specks in the universe. Again, I love this one. Some people are more valuable than others. I don't know where they come up with that one. Foundation for the New World Order. Where's my favorite one? Where's my favorite one? You are not on a spinning ball hurtling through a vast, godless Big Bang universe. People like the flat Earth theory because the globe Earth theory makes them feel insignificant and unloved. The flat Earth theory makes them feel loved. Their emotional attachment to this belief is based on how they feel and what makes sense to them based on how they feel. And what this gentleman here, he's not being antagonistic, so I'm not going to name him and come after him, but he's representing exactly what I'm talking about here, which is, I think the electric universe makes sense, and I like the people who represent it. In other words, by inference, he doesn't like the people who represent a different scientific explanation. So how he feels about them, that could pull very easily into, I don't trust NASA. I don't trust what they tell me. Not, I haven't researched it and I've proven it wrong because I went and studied science and I went and got my PhD in astrophysics and proved it wrong by science. No, I don't like them, I don't trust them, therefore I don't believe it. But I like the electric universe. It makes sense. Dunning Kruger Effect. I'm very confident in my belief, even though I have zero experience and zero knowledge. I'm confident in my belief. It makes sense, and I like the people who represent it. It gets even better. It was started by average people. What does that mean, average people? Are you saying that scientists are not average? Is that what you mean? Average people. It was started by average people giving their time and funds. So people who aren't scientists, who are average as opposed to the elites, and they're giving of their hard-earned time and funds, meaning they're not rich, but they're giving of their hard-earned time and funds to promote this theory, which apparently goes against mainstream science. They are not given the outrageous billions of dollars that NASA receives. So because NASA gets billions of dollars, then that means they are wrong, they're biased. But if you're poor and uneducated and you're a nice person, then therefore your science must be good. I like that. I'm going to believe that. That makes sense to me. The point of all this is that this is incredibly dangerous Because reptilian elite archons are seeking to control you. They are seeking to own you. They are seeking to feed off of you. When you are ignorant of how things work, then you won't be able to see them when they are doing things to destroy your freedom. But if you know how things work, then you can catch them when they do things to harm you. And you'll know the difference between when they are doing something toward you and when they're not doing something toward you. If you don't know because you don't have any education about it, and you are only going off of your feelings, I like those people, I like that teaching, I feel like I have a purpose with the flat earth belief, it makes me comfortable, God has created it, I am safe, I am not in an empty spinning universe. If you have that, then all they have to do is go, okay, so what is this person's weak point? This person is afraid of feeling alone. So what we'll tell them is the other side is telling them that they're all alone. What if we want to pass a law? We want to pass a law that gives us power to take away your freedom and make more money off of you. Well, what about, let's talk about, let's say I own a power plant. Let's say I own a power plant that is spewing out all kinds of toxins in the air. And average people get together, scientists get together and say, you are spewing out, X amount parts per million of cyanide gas or whatever it is, and it's getting in the water and it's getting in the soil. Here are the scientific tests to prove it. And we go to Congress and we say, we need to put caps on their ability to burn this amount of this and that and the other thing. Well, I'm a very rich power plant owner and I have a lot of money. And so I start researching what the average voter who is uneducated in science, what it is that they're afraid of, what it is that their weakness is. And then I go and I start to say, hey, those fat cat scientists want to take away your freedom. We support your freedom. Vote them down. Vote me into office because I'm going to protect your freedoms. Those scientists who know more than you are trying to, they do the opposite. They actually, they talk about themselves and they put somebody else's face in front of it. Then all they have to do is get their people voted into office who will then take away the laws that protect you from rich companies from spewing garbage into the atmosphere. But if you're not educated, and if you're only operating on how you feel about something, and if you have pride in your ignorance, and you are being told by those very people who have all the science and all the money that it's okay, you don't need to know this, this is very simple. Don't let those fat cat NASA scientists tell you what's going on. They're trying to take away your freedoms. I'm fighting for your freedoms. I'm a hard worker just like you. I became a millionaire overnight. And I own this power plant. I'm giving you electricity. I'm here for you. What do those scientists do? They just sit there and they get billions of dollars from the government. That's all they have to say to you. And because you are operating from your emotions, like this little kid here who is so proud of his ignorance and he's so proud of what he thinks he understands, as long as they appeal to that, you will vote these people into office and they will take down laws that are here to protect you, and they will put laws in that prevent you from protecting yourself. And you'll never know it. You'll never see it coming. I talked about in the last video that I put up that public education was something that was brought into democracy so that the average person would have access. to science and education so that they could learn, not only become successful and, become as rich as they wanted out of nothing with that education, but also be able to protect themselves from other rich, powerful people who had knowledge and science and technology on their side. Public education is not your enemy. Let me look at another. Here's another comment coming from this same victim mentality here. This person says, people have got to realize that school has been dumbing them down for years. And again, what do you have to prove that? Now, as you know, if you've watched my channel, you know that I have been a proponent of going up against just blatant, people walking around thinking that they know something because they read it in a book. I come at you and I show you that linguistics. I share with you that a lot of things you've been taught about language is wrong, and that people in the linguistics field are humans and they can make mistakes, that they have emotional agendas, and that they don't do their research, and that they have a limited amount of knowledge. I'm the first one to tell you that even within any institution, there are going to be all kinds of flaws, and that's why you should get yourself educated so you can find out and point them out. So I'm not here to say that you should just bow down and accept everything that you're told, but that you should go educate yourself. Critical thinking. When is something 100% true and 100% false? Let's apply that to this. People have got to realize that school has been dumbing them down for years. Is that 100% true or 100% false? No. And in fact, the person who made this knows that this is not 100% true or false. This person also knows, because they've watched my channel, that the presumption of critical thinking is that everybody has an emotional agenda. The question is, are you aware of what your emotional agenda is doing to you and your ability to understand the truth? This person has an emotional agenda against a lot of people in authority, and this person has a victim mentality, and it's very clear in that. That is skewing their ability, which means when people have an emotional agenda, the first thing they do is they make statements that are 100% true or 100% false. In order to back that up, this one here, school has been dumbing them down for years. All I have to do is find one instance where a school system or the school system has given false information. Once I have that one piece of evidence, then I can say with 100% certainty, because there's only 100% true or false, black and white thinking, I now can say, you see, but you remember in 1957 when they did this and this and this at this school, remember that happened? Well, that was wrong, right? And all I have to do is say yes, and they see the school system is dumbing you down. But if we ask the next question, when is something partially true and partially false? Has the school system given people knowledge and education? Some of the time, yes, of course it has. When is something sometimes true and sometimes false? When has the school system, like there's only one, again, the assumption behind this is that there's one person or a group of people who have control over the school system. And we all know that that's not the case, that there's many little systems within the school system. You can't make that kind of a blanket statement unless you have an emotional agenda to make that kind of statement. People have got to realize that school, which school? A private school? A public school? A school in Texas where they believe that you can teach creation. I don't know if this is true or not. Where you can teach creationism next to science, or a school in San Francisco that says, no, we don't teach creationism here because that's not valid science. Which one of those schools are you talking about? They're not the same. So which school has been dumbing who down? Every single person that's ever gone to school? Are you saying that I've been dumbed down because I went through the public school system? And then this person goes on, add to that all of the vaccinations. What does that have to do with the school system? And again, does that mean all vaccinations are, and again, I'm not a vaccination scientist. To be honest, I'm still doing my research on that. But I'm following those rules. When is something true and when is something false? When is something partially true and partially false? When is something sometimes true and sometimes false? One example with vaccinations is that there are vaccinations that people get and it kills them. Like there's a small percentage of people that they get sick and die from vaccinations. And then there's a whole other, 98.76% of people who take the vaccinations and then don't get that disease. So am I going to take that 2% or whatever it is of the people that died and say all that? I mean, I could make that argument and say, hey, 2% or whatever it is too much. It's unsafe. But that comes from getting an education. Then somebody else could say, hey, I was exposed to that disease and I had immunity to it because I took such and such vaccination. This is critical thinking, people. The only way that you can have critical thinking is if you're not a victim and you don't have an emotional agenda on the truth. If you are a victim and you have an emotional agenda on the truth, I can manipulate you. I'm choosing not to do that. But trust me, if what I wanted to do was make millions of dollars off of your willful ignorance, your decision to stay a victim and not investigate and choose to educate yourself, I could come up with no shortage of ways to make money off of you, to become stinking silly rich off of your childish, insecure narcissism. Is that what you want? Because there are people out there that will do that and that are doing that, and you can't see them because you're unwilling to let go of your willful ignorance. And add to that, poisons in the food. What does that have to do with the school system? Tell me. And video games. What does video games have to do with the school system? To distract them for years has done them no favor either. I agree with a lot of that. What does that have to do? There is no coherent, logical argument other than they're doing it to me. Whoever they are, they have more money, they have more knowledge, they have more power. They are doing it to me. All right, I'm done ranting. When I finally get this out of my system, maybe I'll talk about something else, but my job here is to educate you. My job here is to help you. And it's very, very hard to do that when you guys have an emotional agenda to be victims. It's very hard. And it saddens me and it angers me and it frustrates me. And I'll tell you, it frightens me. And I'll tell you why it frightens me. Here's my emotional agenda. I'm a human being just like the rest of you. Now, I am pretty good at manifesting my own life, and I'm pretty good at staying away from all of the, agendas of the imperial reptilian elite and what they do. I'm pretty good at navigating my way through that soup because I have a spiritual practice that works for me. And that spiritual practice is I follow my joy and I trust the universe. And the universe takes very good care of me. It doesn't mean that all that stuff goes away. It just means that I get kind of this bubble of safety around me wherever I go. That's why I keep telling you guys to stop being victims, because if you're a victim, you don't have that protection. If you don't trust the universe doesn't protect you. And you are fodder. You will be food for these reptilians. They will feast on your ignorance, and they will take advantage of you. They will keep you poor, they will keep you uneducated, and they will take your power away from you. One of the other things that's most frustrating and frightening to me is that there are people that I work with, and I start to work with them. And these are people who are damaged. They're emotionally and psychologically damaged. They've been traumatized as kids. And so they don't know how to think critically. And they don't know who to trust. And so they have been swept up in these conspiracy theories like, don't trust the government, don't trust NASA. Don't trust that. Don't trust the school system. And so they believe anything that comes along and says they are doing it to you. Don't trust them. They are doing it to you. And then they come to me and I give them some balance and I say, well, they are doing it to you this way, but they're not doing it to you this way. But in order for you to accept that they're not doing it to you this way, you have to let go of your emotional attachment to feeling like a victim, which will be very frightening, which means you have to trust me and trust the information that I'm giving you. But if the information I'm giving you goes counter to what you've been told, which enforces your victim mentality, then you're going to go through a crisis because you're going to have to let go of some of the things you believe in order to at least listen to what I have to say. And what ends up happening is that in the beginning, people like what I'm telling them when I tell them that they are infinite, that they are God, that they can trust the universe, that they can manifest their own reality, that they can be healthy, that they can have joy, that you can have all of that. And if you follow my suggestions to the letter and do what I did, you can have what I have. They like that in the beginning until when we start bumping into their victim mentality and I start saying, you got to get rid of that belief system about this because it's not serving you. They become really uncomfortable. And the next thing you know, I am the victimizer. And then I become the problem. And then the next thing I know, they've left. And I get these anonymous emails from them saying, I've unsubscribed and I'm not going to be your student anymore because what you've said about global warming really bothered me and I can't trust you anymore. Boom, they're gone. What frightens me about that is that those people have the ability to vote. And they can be manipulated by the big corporations, by the oil companies, by the giant drug companies who never come out and say to you, hi, I'm a drug company manufacturer and I want to keep you sick. So I'm going to present this conspiracy theory about cancer treatment or whatever it is, but you'll never see, they'll never come to you that way. They will create other little things like the so-and-so association for the freedom of such and such, and then they'll go and do their rallies and you'll go, yeah, that's an average person just talking to me, and they will lie to your face and you'll never see it because you haven't bothered to get an education. And on top of that, they tell you don't get an education, don't listen to those schools, those people in the school systems. It's all corrupt, it's all the government, it's all the elite, it's all the reptilians, it's the Rothschilds, they're running it all. And then you will vote in those people who will take power and take away your health and your freedom, and then you won't have a clue how it happened. That's why it frightens me. That's my agenda. The reason why I'm frightened is because I don't want you and your ignorance, your willful ignorance, to threaten my freedom and my health. And that's what will be the case. And as I said in one of the previous videos, it's being pushed by people who have very, very, very strong religious agendas. And they really want to legislate taking away your religious freedom, your sexual freedom, your educational freedom. And you'll never see it coming because the only thing you know is that you're responding to them telling you that you're a victim and that people who have more power and more money and more education are doing it to you. And you don't have the critical thinking to be able to figure out, yeah, but which ones? Which ones of them are doing it and which ones aren't? You don't have the capability. You don't have the education. You don't have the critical thinking. And that's a threat to me. And I don't like that. All right. I'll take some questions now, if there are any. I have no idea if there are any questions or not, but let's take a look and see. All right. I'm sure there's no shortage of trolls. What happened here? Why is that all blacked out? All right, let's see here. Again, I'm going to look for a question. If you say something stupid, I will use it as an opportunity to dissect you in front of the world. So you're better off not saying anything. If you have an honest question, I'll answer it. Question: what do you do when you see something you can't forget? I don't know what that means. It changes your view on everything, and you have to tell me, you have to be specific. I don't even have any idea what you're talking about. Did you see a dead body? Did you see an ugly person? What do you mean? I need more information. Let's see here. Again, no questions. I'm sure there's no shortage of trolls. That's what I get for putting out the clickbait title. German engineering, no proven tests for Earth movement. What an idiotic thing to say. There are so many ways you can prove that the Earth has moved. But you first have to understand what a base assumption is. You don't know what a base assumption is. If you have a base assumption, which you obviously do because you operate just from your eye to the ground, obviously, you have a base assumption that the Earth isn't moving. So movement is relative to some other object. So what are you going to use for your test? Since you have a base assumption that the Earth doesn't move, then you can't create a test for the movement of the Earth against the Earth. It has to be relative to something else. Again, I'm not even a scientist and I know this. But just to show you that the Earth is moved, all you got to do is look at how it's moved in comparison to other heavenly bodies. But again, that takes math and science and a desire to know the truth, which you don't. You don't have that desire. Obviously, because you ask stupid questions or say stupid things like, and I'm not doing that just to make fun of you. It shows a complete lack of education. There are no proven tests that the Earth moves. Shows just your total lack of education. If you wanted to, you could type that in. You could type it into YouTube right now and listen to videos of scientists, but you won't believe them because you don't believe scientists and you don't believe NASA. And you don't believe if somebody said, here's a photo from the Hubble Space Telescope, you would say that's CGI. I don't believe it. So you're full of shit. You're not even honest. Let's see here, what else? Yeah, Brigitte Mercedes says it in a less kind way. The Dunning Kruger Effect is a term that describes stupid people who don't know that they are in fact stupid. And that's hard to hear, but I've done this with people, or I've said similar things to people who wanted to work with me, and they, as a teacher, and I'm teaching Qigong or something else like that, and I'm teaching them what to do, they'll say, well, so-and-so said this, or that doesn't work because of that. And I'll say, listen, I've been doing this particular thing for a while. I know something about this thing. You don't. The problem is you don't even know what you don't know. So you have to be willing to empty your cup. But again, that comes with trust too. If you can't trust anything, you won't empty your cup. And then the Dunning Kruger effect will be on the left side of the scale, which means that you will have high confidence in your belief without any competence, experience, or data. Dunning Kruger effect. Let's see what else. You need a tape measure. What else? It is an electric universe, Cloud Leopard says. We should know both models. You can know both models, but having a model doesn't mean anything. You have to be able to, let me give you another example with the flat earth. Are you serious? It says there's only one person watching right now. That's interesting. I'll give you an example with the flat earth, right? So, where's the flat earth model? Flat earth model. That's a model. So coming up with a model doesn't mean anything, but a model that doesn't have any holes in it, that's a model. Just putting something together and saying, here's what the flat earth looks like, and here's the sun, and it's going around in a circle, that's a model, but it doesn't mean anything. So you could have that model, and then you could actually have the globe model, and you'd have two models. And one of them is based on looking at data and looking at science and looking at experiments. And another one is just going off of what you think might be based on what you want it to be. Having two models doesn't mean anything, Cloud Leopard. What else? Any more questions? Again, it only says there's one person watching. So whoever's been on here, they probably got tired of me ranting and have moved on. People of Peace 777, you're now explaining to me what happens when people don't put the time and effort to learn anything. He says, I want to discuss your video about Jesus was a coward. Do you realize that Jesus never even died on the cross? Did you pay attention to that? Because that's what I say also, but that takes time and effort. You have to put effort into seeing what I teach to know that I said that. Let's see what else. Oh, People of Peace 777 is Jesus Christ. Oh, so what was I thinking? We've got Jesus Christ himself. All right, so there's no real questions here, just nothing but trolls so far. Brigitte Mercedes question, do the Illuminati reptilians work with a mind control which also in some ways is damaging their own circle and lowering their own intellect? I think you answered your own question. I would agree with that. What else? No, just a bunch of trolls. No questions. And I guess that makes sense because I'm just really venting here more than anything else. John Walter, are you Catholic? No. What else? Mitch Robinson question, why don't animals, primarily wild, non-domesticated ones, need education? What the fuck are you talking about? Oh, why don't animals need education? What the fuck are you talking about, man? What is your agenda here? Just come on, give me a fucking break. Emil Shelbourne question, how many David Icke books have you read? It's been a while, but I think I've read 2 of them. Why do you ask? What do I think of his history with African shamans? I don't give a crap about his history with African shamans. What's your point? I think David Icke is at the very least very mistaken. So it doesn't matter to me what his history with that is. All right, so there's nothing of any value going on here. There's only one person watching. So we'll just call it a day. We'll see. I'll get this stuff out of my system and we'll move on with other stuff as time goes on. And yeah, that's it. So, all right. That's it for me today, guys. Thanks for showing up, those of you who did. And I will talk to you guys soon. Wait, a question showed up. It looks it looks entertaining. Question: who are you protecting? Why don't you tell me who you think I'm protecting? You obviously have an idea. What do you mean, who am I protecting? What if you see something and you can't tell anyone? I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean if you see something or if I see something? What does that mean? You see something and you can't, I don't know what the hell, I mean, come on. Something weird about that. I can't put my finger on it. You're not being honest and straightforward, so I don't know what it is. Anyway, that's it. I'm done. See you guys later.